Garula. A weekend of truly appalling disaster began with the sinking of the ferryboat Princess Victoria off the Irish coast. Our story begins with the return of the Donaghadee lifeboat from the scene of the tragedy at sea. Only 44 out of 172 passengers and crew survived. 2 of those picked up are seen at Donaghadee recovering from their ordeal. Two other survivors, Angus Nelson on the left and Tom McQuiston, tell their story.
Soon after we left Lochline, the heavy sea struck us in the stern and the car ferry doors, which smashed them in. She started to take water then and took a heavy list to the starboard side. Then the water kept on running into the car deck, which caused a list till we had to abandon ship.
The ship took a heavy list to starboard. Then the siren went to abandon ship. I saw no panic or anything. Everybody's standing quite calmly, waiting and hope, waiting on ships coming to the rescue.
I'm Petty Officer Yeomans from Farnborough. I was travelling on the Princess Victoria to Ireland as a passenger. As I clung onto this raft, I was about 2 hours in the water, and there was just myself and another person on the raft about 30 yards away. I was spotted by an aeroplane flying overhead. I waved for that, and I think he got in contact with the destroyer, and from there they got in contact with the Port Patrick lifeboat, and after about 2 hours I was picked up by the water by the Port Patrick lifeboat.
Next day, Donaghadee Harbour was crowded with people, of course, and great interest was focused on the lifeboat, which did such splendid work thanks to her courageous crew, led by the coxswain, 63-year-old Hugh Nelson. This is how he summed up.
And we got out there, the ship was gone. And the weather was very bad, conditions were very bad, visibility was bad, sea was heavy. And with the assistance of the steamers too, they gave us all the assistance they could to put it over.
Britain was shocked by this tragedy, then stunned by news of the ghastly loss of life and fearful destruction on the east coast of England. Mablethorpe in Lincolnshire was one place that suffered severely when the sea, piled up by a hurricane, breached the coast defences with a tidal wave. Fatalities here were put at 8, and as for the damage, well, that's only too evident. Here, as elsewhere, troops have been quickly on the spot and have been doing fine work, as indeed have all official bodies and volunteer helpers everywhere. Large numbers of residents were rendered homeless at Mablethorpe, and Lutz became the evacuation centre. Everything possible is being done for them. The scene, as at so many points from Yorkshire to Kent, is reminiscent of the aftermath of a wartime blitz. King's Lynn in Norfolk, which was immediately visited by the Queen, has been badly hit with the loss of 15 lives. 27 lives are reported to have been saved by this young American airman, Rhys Lemming. His height of 6 feet 2 and his rubber exposure suit would have great help. An airman's view of Great Yarmouth shows what happened there. Now down to Whitstable, where the invasion of the sea has produced extensive floods and widespread destruction. It is in fact impossible as yet even to guess at the total damage done on that night of storm havoc. At Margate, the pier has been smashed, and on the T, the lighthouse has collapsed. Just 2 more details of the ruins spread from north to south. Sheerness Dockyard was streets flooded, the station underwater, and 7 fatalities reported. Previously involved, a frigate was flung over onto her side, and in an adjacent berth, a submarine was sunk. Foulness Island was so badly flooded that it was at first reported to have disappeared. Lives are reported to have been lost in the disaster here. There, an island on a sunken island is crowded with cattle. Canvey Island suffered worst of all. When the protecting wall was breached, the water came swirling through in a tremendous torrent, smashing homes and sweeping all before it. Most of the damage was done and the lives lost, over 100 it's feared, in the first rush of the flood. Rescue was quickly in operation, and all praise is due to those who've been carrying it out. Mr. Geoffrey Prout can speak from first-hand experience.
We went straight on to rescue work, and we carried on all day and feel that we were instrumental, we and our staff, of saving at least 100 lives.
Several hundred people were still reported missing on Canvey when these vivid pictures were filmed. Search and rescue continues without cease. But the tragedy of the disaster remains, the greatest of its kind that Britain has suffered.